gentleman there. Okay. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, John Bailey. John Bailey, freelance journalist. A question.
No. What's your name?
John Bailey, freelance journalist. Can you ask members of the panel to speak about the prospects for talks between the Taliban, the coalition forces, Karzai's government and the Pashtuns, please?
Okay, thank you. Bob?
Bob Russell, I'm involved with Christian CND, but I'd like to pick up a point which, at least it came through to me, that Dawood raised. He mentioned particularly about Taliban propaganda constantly referring to casualties suffered by civilians and others as a result of Allied bombing and military activities. Let me also point out that when we hear the news in this country, all we ever hear about are Allied casualties and in particular British service casualties. You don't hardly ever hear about casualties of the Americans or other service personnel out there. And are you therefore surprised that the general public gradually becomes more and more disillusioned with this whole business if we do not feel that we are being told truthfully what this war is really bringing about? And I do beg to differ with the General there. I think this, for most ordinary people like us, is war. It is not some intervention at the request.
Okay. Thank you.
My name is Andrew Warren from War on Want. I have a question. If the letter from the Minister read at the beginning of this meeting and also what Peter Gilchrist said is correct, why are more and more members of the British Armed Forces becoming gravely concerned about what they're doing in Iraq and Afghanistan, even to this extent of one senior member of the British Armed Forces leading the recent anti-war march in London? The actual truth is, in the case of Iraq and Afghanistan, we have got no damn business to be over in the first place.
Okay, thank you. So the question about the prospects of
talks between the Taliban.
We're going to have him because he's in Afghanistan.
Excuse me, I'm not very well. My name is Anwar. I am a journalist. I think I go to a number of this kind of meetings, as well as I read, I listen to the government statements. What we talk about usually, talk about symptoms or remedies for the symptoms of what's happening, rather the causes, this one. And second thing is, we talk about this was just happening after 2001. If we are going to win the hearts and minds of the people, which I think that could be won, Afghans are not, is seen by some, those tribals, uncivilized, that could be if you tell them the truth. The truth is, the war in Afghanistan, it lies far beyond the roots of the terrorism than it is 2001.
Question.
Let me, if you give me...
It's a debate. Stop the It's a debate, actually. Let them debate it.
If we start to begin with, I think it is begun in 1979, where Afghanistan became a battle for war for the warriors of the West and East, communism and anti-communism. Secondly, if you go beyond that, I believe, and it is proved, and I have the documentary evidence, its roots lies with the creation of Pakistan in 1947, which is a legacy of the colonial rule. It's true. The third, I believe, Pakistan is proved to seek its survival in the destruction of Afghanistan. Unless this problem is solved in the region, unless there is an answer found to this really basic and fundamental question, I don't think I believe we will be hoping for something which is so possible. We might be talking 60 years from today about the same sort of thing. So I think instead of concentrating on Afghanistan, why don't you go and start with Lahore? Because everything is emanated from there, and everything remains there, even at this moment. Thank you very much.
I have a very short comment, and I will finish with a question. Please have patience, Mr. Wheaton. We were challenged from the panel not to lose our memory. And I remember very well what Brzezinski himself tells us, that the whole world believed that we went there to throw the Red Army out of Afghanistan. But he says that's not true. It took us 6 months for us to bring that army, and we were very happy that they were invited. The Red Army were invited by the government then, because they knew very well that whoever was going to invade Afghanistan will fail. That's why they invited that army there. Because General Eisenhower, he himself had warned that if America would continue like this, the military industry of America will really strangle the country itself, which itself it's doing with all the billions in Iraq, destroying Iraq, that even the leader of Iraq was their own stooge. And let's not forget, I remember also that Bin Laden and all those, let's say, so-called terrorist organizations were their own creations. So they created them, and in fact, he says very well, because he's a very intelligent guy, Brzezinski, he says that the main issue is to control Eurasia, not here and there, the terrorists here in England, to control Eurasia. And Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, they are part of Eurasia. This is the crux of the problem, because even our government, they said that when Kennan in 1948 said that we own more than half of the riches of the world, but we are only 7% of the world. But now England, when they supported America, our government says that still America controls 30% of the world, riches of the world, and still now they are 6% of the population. So this is a very huge power. We have to go with it. In fact, all things, when we remember, all this discussion becomes very strange. I would like to know, what is the difference between that invitation of the Red Army and the invitation of this government of your policy?
Okay, the speakers, please. The gentleman there, and then Jacob's question, comment, and here, gentleman there. Who's going to start? Are you going to start speaking from that side? Or you are okay? Now, anyone else? You're going to say something?
Yeah, very happy to start.
Okay.
There are one or two things I would disagree with. First of all, I really would take issue with the issue that the plight of women has not got better, because that is a completely outrageous statement, and I just can't accept it. So, you only have a look at the
I'm against the war.
Can I?
He's completely right on
Let Peter say his bit.
On the BBC website today, you'll find that there's an Oxfam study they did in 14 provinces between January and April. It's an Oxfam study, which actually puts down where is the blame for the current conflict, and this is asking the Afghan people. 40% poverty and unemployment, 40% corruption and ineffectiveness of the government, 35% 24% other countries, 19 AQ, 18% presence of the international forces. So
That is a study that's just been published on the BBC. So I think we need to, again, try and keep some of this in perspective.